Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today with episode 154 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak with ACG.
And hey guys, I'm just Don. I'm another Bethesda content creator. Mainly make stuff like news updates and videos about Bethesda's upcoming rumored title, Starfield. And I also do vocal covers of various Fallout soundtrack songs. And yeah, that's me, just Don.
All right, guys. Nice, Dom. My name is Joe. My channel name's Play It Forward Official. I do some Bethesda-like content, like speculation, and I love Fallout's my favorite. But that's what I pretty much do. So
awesome. Two on the rise creators in the Bethesda community. Cannot recommend either of them enough. They both do awesome work. And now,
thank you.
Let's get on over to our normal introduction. So, as most of you know out there, we have a Patreon. That Patreon gives you early access if you are a $1 donor, so you can get the show on Fridays, and you can listen on SoundCloud, on the go, at your computer, wherever the hell you want. Or if that's not your jam, then we have iTunes and Google Play for you to listen to on the go when it airs, usually at Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, with all of that said, if you want to get in any of that, links in the description down below. And on to our first topic. So Microsoft had a pretty big financial boost, it seems, with $2.2 million, and this is because of success with their exclusives, the Game Pass. They're turning into more of a third-party machine. Karak, you brought this news to my attention, so I want to hear your take first on all of this, and what's the good in this besides just cash?
Well, yeah. If it was us getting that cash, it'd be really good. But unfortunately, it's not. The reason why it's awesome is because we're looking, and we've talked about this, and I know that you and I both have both systems, so I know some people don't. So that might be a thing. But when you look at competition, a lot of times there's an overlap, and there's this. It sort of becomes this biting situation where it's like, okay, I'm going to get this game on this system because my friends are playing this. But I'll get this one here, and it can actually become quite difficult if you have split libraries. And one of the weird things is even though we still have that with the Xbox and the PS4, one thing I do like is the competition's a little different. And it's like the Xbox backwards compatible. That's not even, you can call PSN now backwards compatible, but that's sort of like saying herpes is really good if you have sex. Like, so it is literally that bad. It's the worst system I've ever seen. Yeah, so you don't want that. And then you have Game Pass, which is phenomenal, even though it doesn't have as many games, obviously, that are exclusive as Sony. So it's cool that you have Nintendo, handheld. No other people are doing handhelds. I understand that Vita is there, but
I was just about to remind you.
I don't want Maddie to get mad. Vita's alive and well somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, like Microsoft is doing insanely well, insanely good numbers, and then Sony's doing insanely well, but they're offering some overlap, but there's also this difference that's starting to pop up that to me is actually exciting because I've grown through all of these, Sega, Genesis, Nintendo, like every time there was the system that was almost as good, and you were like, all right, which one's got longer draw distance or a little bit more of a frame rate or whatever. And now it's like, well, if I want to play older Xbox 360 games, which let's be honest, there was a shit ton of owners who jumped to the PS4 who may have an account that if they signed in would have 50 backwards compatible games that suddenly work. And it's free. And a lot of those enhanced editions, all that stuff's free, and they look better than remasters where somebody charges you $40. So to me, I'm just excited to see that kind of competition because it's not exactly in like a lockstep with one another, and it's just super exciting. I cannot wait to see what E3 sort of shows what Microsoft is heading towards. We know they're purchasing some studios and stuff. We'll see that news break soon, but it's going to be obviously Sony and how they're doing things, Microsoft how they are, and Nintendo with handheld. It's so cool. I mean, it's like there's a little bit for everybody, it feels like.
Definitely, because I turned on my Xbox without even thinking. We were talking about what I think I said. It had actually been a year since I had turned on my Xbox at one point, and I didn't even know about that. And then all of a sudden, I got this Elder Scrolls kick, and I thought, I don't want to hook up the 360. And I realized my Xbox One works with that perfectly fine. And then they start releasing all these updates for all the Star Wars games I loved growing up. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, I'm playing my Xbox One a ton more. And I think everyone loves nostalgia. Everyone loves going back for a little bit. And I think Microsoft's goal is to get, it's almost like a store. You want to just get people in the store. You want to get their foot in the door and show them all you have. And I think the way they do that is in any way they see fit, whether it's a new exclusive like a Sea of Thieves, which despite critical reception,
Yeah,
they
you're right.
perform well. The Game Pass, backwards compatibility, they're doing all these different forms. Oops, sorry, at the mic. They're doing all these different ways of getting people into the Xbox community. And once I turned it on, I was like, holy shit, there's this huge update. Things look different. This is smoother. You know, there's a lot to be seen here. Games with gold. I was like, oh shit, all right. Like, I might play my Xbox a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I
You guys
will
own
have
the
to.
Xbox?
I own a 360, and then, as you said, I jumped to the PS4. Pretty much when I think it was like the day it released, actually, which was, I feel like it's kind of lucky because since I jumped on PlayStation from The Last of Us, the original, and then I was like, oh, I have to see what. The thing is with PlayStation for me is that I feel like they have like these huge exclusives, and that's why they're doing so well. And I feel like with all their other games at the moment, they all have their kind of the same flavor. They all kind of look-ish kind of the same. They're all a bit more mature, great storytelling, like with God of War. Like, that's a complete revamp. We'll get into that later. But yeah, I feel like they have the kind of the same taste. And I feel like Xbox needs those exclusives to kind of help them push those systems out. But yeah, I have a 360. I only jump on Fallout 3, and yeah, I'm the same. I always get a kick for Oblivion all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna start a new game. But yeah, I just feel like if they got there, it will be interesting to see what they announce at E3. To see if they can bring any exclusives to Xbox One to try and help push those systems out. But yeah, that's my take. Yeah.
Joey, you fire up the Xbox?
Yeah, I have an Xbox One, and I have an Xbox One and a PlayStation 4, so I have both. I prefer like the PlayStation exclusives, I guess, even though I'm a huge Gears of War fan. I prefer the PS4 exclusives. The Last of Us is awesome.
Last of Us is amazing.
MLB The Show's a good game if you like sports, But but I love what Microsoft is doing though. Like the PlayStation Now, you got to pay for that. You know what I mean? And like with them releasing, Morrowind recently, an original Xbox game. You have Oblivion that you could play on the Xbox One for free, Fallout 3, New Vegas. You have all these games you could play for free, whereas on the PlayStation 4, you have to kind of pay for that, and that kind of, that stinks in that regard, So, like, I wish maybe at some point you didn't have to, but I don't know.
I mean, the way I look at it is you take $10, put it on the table. You either get, like, how big is a $10 trial for PlayStation Now? I think it's, like, a week? So you get a week of one game on a shitty server. The game will actually, like, pixelate.
Streaming.
Yeah, streaming it. Or, and I know not a lot of people are a huge fan of GameStop, but let's just hypothetically speak for a second, because I'm thinking used games. You take $10, you go to GameStop, you can easily buy a lot of the games Joey just mentioned.
Oh, hell
take
yeah.
them home to your Xbox. Right there. And you got hundreds of hours of content for just $10. It's like I look at that and go, that there shows where PlayStation needs to improve. And I also, like Karak mentioned in the beginning, I own both. I am playing both. But I think PlayStation's biggest gap, that if they filled it in, it would be really hard for Microsoft to separate itself, is that PlayStation Now. If you could fix that, make it into something that's dope, consumer friendly, like where I could pop in the PS3 disc and it works fine, no bullshit trials.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah, right. Like it's all of a sudden we got a whole different ball game here. How does Microsoft separate itself as much as it has? The reason it has been able to is because the Xbox One has become the Xbox. Like you can do 360, you can do Xbox One, original, I should say.
That's true.
And new gen. So it's like, you look at that, and then if Sony does that, then I want to hear, Karak, what do you think? What makes Microsoft special at that point? Let's say they fill in that gap, which I don't think they ever do.
I don't think they ever do, but if they did, which I would be incredibly happy about, because there's a lot of PS3 games I would love to go buy for $5. I'm not streaming those games. I have a pretty fast connection. I still am not a big fan of streaming. If they did do that, then I would assume Microsoft would just have to. I mean, it's all about adjusting to whatever the competitor's doing. So if they did do that, then Microsoft would have to look at more exclusives. But I think what's interesting when you look at it from a dollar perspective, and we separate our egos for a second, us as in podcasters, people who are, who cover this. There's a great contingent of people who don't give a fuck whatsoever, and they just want to play a game. And what Microsoft has figured out is exclusives do matter, but if you're not playing an exclusive that releases every 3 months, what are you doing in the 2 months between? You might be playing a third-party game. And so Microsoft has seen the gap and been like, okay, we're going to fill the gap with Game Pass and all this stuff. It's also funny that I think it was Game of Sutra or it was Kotaku had a big tagline that said Microsoft's biggest exclusive is Morrowind. And it dawned on me, and I don't like the way it looks anymore, even though it's one of my favorite games of all time, old looking. But it is true. Like, there's a lot of people who are I would love to replay Morrowind or KOTOR or all these older games. And in a weird way, Microsoft's exclusivity is that now you have a different value proposition than you do for the PS4. Additionally, with the X, you have these games that, 4K, increased resolution, you have increased frame rate. Red Dead is almost, I wouldn't say you would think it was a current gen game.
Yeah.
But there are times where you're playing it with all of its enhancements that are all free, and you're like, holy fucking shit, this thing is tight. They did a spectacular job. And so I don't really think that, if it changed, they would just adjust to do more exclusives. But really, exclusives neither one mean a lot if you look at exclusives too. You can spend a lot of money and do an exclusive. It doesn't mean you're going to have a God of War. You might have a Recore, and we all fucking know how that turned out. Recore or Quantum Break. Remedy is one of my favorite companies of all time. Alan Wake's fantastic. Quantum Break was not. And that was exclusive. So it's like, sometimes I think Microsoft is the long game. And they really are not the generational game, like this generation, that generation, but more like step back and go, what's going to work out over this long period of time? It's awesome, man. And I hope it forces Nintendo, Virtual Console, Nintendo to do backwards compatible shit, and I hope it forces Sony to.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. That would be.
I would love
awesome.
it.
Why do certain companies, do you think, hold back on backwards compatibility? When you said Nintendo, that thought came to mind that they haven't done Virtual Console on the Switch. That would be huge.
CPUs and GPUs, because the CPU in the 360 is a Power PC chip. It's not an X6486 like an Intel. So those chips have to be translated. It's not the same as let's say if you or I wanted to emulate an older game that was Windows, but still Windows. So those are different CPUs. They require more work. It's not impossible, but it requires more work. And they are, there's in order, this is going to get nerdy for just a second, but there's in order and out of order CPUs. And it used to be that in order was better. And so you would have your instruction to the CPU, like the 360 would be really fast, but it would do one thing really well. We're done with that. We have multi-core. We have things. Your PC needs to do 8,000 things, and so it's hard sometimes to get an Xbox X even to mimic the Xbox original. There were even, there's been times remember, Phil Spencer said he did not think backwards compatible would work. When they came to him and said, we want to try it, and we want to try to program it, he was like, that's impossible. There's no way you're going to get it to work. It requires a lot of work, and then you have to buy the IP, right? Like, those IPs aren't all Microsoft's.
That's true.
Yeah. I have to say, I was very tempted to pick up a cheap Xbox One for Morrowind. I've never played it. I'm sorry, I've never played it. I know.
Oh, you need to experience that game.
I know. But I'm very tempted to pick it up. And obviously it's been upscaled a bit, so there's no reason why I shouldn't.
I think it's become common as Morrowind's become, a topic of discussion lately. I've realized that a lot of people haven't played it. I think a big part of that is for me, this is gonna get not nerdy, but I look at my
Hey,
audience.
it's all good, man. It's all good.
I look at my audience. I look at the percentage. You can see the age gaps. And when I see like the 18 to 25 gap, I know a lot of those people are people like me who, when they were around the age of Morrowind coming out, not everyone, like I want to say, I remember being, the first time I played Morrowind, I was like 8 or 9. Like I had no fucking clue what was going on. All right. Like I tried playing it. I got out of Satanin and I walked off. I was like, okay, what is happening? I'm so confused, but I just remember enjoying it. But I think a lot of people were like that, and then they just never got to it because they were confused. And it's not like nowadays where all of us are creators. You play a game, you want to stick with it so you can talk about it, share your opinion online, discuss with others, and also a maturity factor. I think where back then it's like, nah, this toy is stupid. I'm gonna
yeah.
Sure.
It's when you can really start appreciating it. And that's what turns games into your favorite game. It hits you at the right time, and becomes legendary. But yes,
I mean, I personally say I've always loved gaming. I've always appreciated gaming, but I'd say I really, over the past couple of years, have really truly, like I said, it comes with age. You start to really understand like every facet of a video game and like what goes into it. And it's like incredible how the hobby develops a little bit.
Well, it's like me. Oops, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go on.
Oh no, yeah, it was like me. You become interested in other parts of the video game, like the art, or I think I can't remember what game it was, but I got really into voice acting and following voice actors. And before that, which I was playing games for years, it was never really a thing I thought of.
Right.
And then I think it was Infinite. I think it was BioShock Infinite when I discovered Troy Baker, and then The Last of Us came out shortly after that, and I was like, oh, it's the same guy. And now I'm a huge Troy Baker fan.
I remember that was,
and other voice actors.
The year of Troy Baker. I think he had a ton of huge games that came out, and all of them were spectacular. He's
in every game, man. He's in every game. Yeah,
it's insane.
But I'm looking forward to his performance in The Last of Us, the 2. But yeah. I know they're gonna open with the feels. I know.
Yeah.
You can feel it. You can feel it. God damn it.
But speaking of PlayStation exclusives, let's talk about God of War. Who has had a chance to play God of War? I know I haven't. Karak has, but what about you two?
I got a chance to play the first half an hour when it came out. That's the only thing I did on really nice 4K TV, and I was just sat there like, how does it look this good? And honestly, that was like, well, when it first came out. And I was like, right, I get paid in like 2 weeks. I'm going to go buy a 4K TV. I've got a Pro already.
Damn.
And just to prove, last night I got paid. I went to the store at like 12 at midnight. And it's still in the case because I went to get the TV today, but they didn't have it in stock. So I was like, God damn it. But yeah, it looks really nice. It looks beautiful. And I've heard like amazing things. The thing I found was the combat's like really fun. I only played up to like the first boss, but yeah, it's like really fluent and really fun, and brutal at the same time. So yeah.
God of War trait.
Yeah.
Karak,
it's good.
What do you feel about? Because I think that'll get us all kickstarted here. What do you feel about God of War? Just generally speaking, what was your verdict on it?
It was definitely to buy it. I don't think it was. I wasn't as like stunned as a lot of. It seems like people were. They were like, I'm going to sell my baby and I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy this game. And I was like, damn. Wow. But I agree with something you said in the Discord, Maddie, and I completely agree with this, which is usual for us. But when you said it's about 2 hours in before the combat gets good. So if you like it prior, then you'll probably really like it later. And then I think that people are going to get pissed about this, but I love that God of War does it, and that's the fact that you can 100% your skills before you get done. So
nice.
you have a God of War. It's his fucking name. Like that's the name of the game. So it's like, are we gonna? He's a lumberjack at the starting, and at first you like you're watching him chop this tree, and I was all fuck, man, like this is weird. And then he hits it like twice, and then a third time he just destroys it. And I remember going, okay, there's a hint of like strength, and they do some cool stuff with hints instead of saying he's fucking incredibly strong at all times. Because one of the things you'll hear about comic book people who talk about comic books a lot will talk about the unrealistic ability of somebody super strong to not kill everybody around. Because you would shatter somebody giving them like a hug. And I loved that they took the time in God of War to say, okay, he's super strong, but what we're going to do is we're going to show him as a normal person. He's still grabbing fucking logs, but
carried a whole tree over his shoulder. Like it was
exactly. I mean, he's not high-fiving his kid. He'd shatter the dude's fucking arm. But I love that there was a subtlety there, and I think we've seen this with other games. I do not believe that would be done if the game didn't take 5 years. I think that's another problem, too. It's good, but it's also bad. It's a GTA 5 situation, where if you have a bunch of time, you can do stuff that others can't do. And so it'll be interesting to me, even more from God of War, to see what other companies try to do. Are they going to try to outwitcher it like we've seen every RPG do? That's what I'm nervous about, because I don't want them to. I would rather have them just do their own thing. But it seems it's so good. It's in the limelight, and it seems to be such a big deal. I'm more interested in how it affects the industry now as other companies eye that as their target. Because we know that's going to happen. It's just everybody's going to be like, boom, God of War.
Yeah, and I like what you said there. You, from the little bit I got to play, it makes you really connect with the person instead of the God himself and being this almighty, all strength, powerful being.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Yeah. I feel like, obviously I haven't played a lot, but it feels like the story of it will be really solid and take you on a good journey and grow the character instead of being like, okay, he's all powerful, just go play.
But I don't know. For me,
here we go.
For me, though, however,
controversy.
I only saw the very beginning of the game, and like him chopping down that tree, man, and putting that tree over his shoulder. Like, I've never played God of War, but Kratos, man, looks friggin' badass.
Yeah,
and it entices me to want to friggin' play it, just like the opening part of the game, and it's like, wow, like I've never experienced that before. So just like watching that, it's like, damn, like I kind of want to play it now, I mean, I don't want to start off with this game that, but
I think you can get away with starting off with that one though.
Yeah, you think?
You mean this game and not play the old ones? You'd be fine.
Yeah, okay, it does seem like it would be a standalone.
It is really, truly a reboot. I mean, they hint, and there's certainly some callbacks, but they do a very good job in the story of covering.
But then how come in the beginning there's that, I guess, that kid, he goes up to the woman, I assume it's a woman, she's lying there. Like, don't you need to know something?
All of it's explained in the game.
All right, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, for me, I like the game a lot. I should start off with that before I get any
here we go.
critical.
Prepare to have your hopes doused by Maddie.
Shall we sleep?
I like Eric said, the first 2 hours, I was actually like, I felt like Kratos. Yeah, I really related to the character because I was kind of pissed off. I was like, because I saw, all right, you got to look at it from my perspective, and I think every other consumer can relate to it. I spent weeks reading previews, seeing everyone say the first 3 hours are some of the best in gaming. The first 3 hours, oh my god, like first three hours. I'm like, all right, at least this game starts strong. And I'm thinking like, when I think incredible start, I think Last of Us instantly.
Oh hell yeah.
One of the best starts to a game ever.
Don't take me there, man.
It just hits you hard and you're in.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting something like that. God of War does its own thing, and I think it successfully does that. But I was kind of pissed off because I'm playing it, and I'm like, okay, it's doing excellent pacing. It's showing me the combat mechanics. It's introducing me to the world. It's humanizing its main character, which it never did in any of the games beforehand. He was just punching shit, which is fine. That's what God of War was. But this is a different take. I appreciated all of it, but I was also kind of mad because I'm like, some people were saying, how absolutely life-changing these couple of hours were. And I was like, I've seen this before. It's not until after the 3 hours that the game opens up. and then opens up, and then opens up, and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and there's more and more and more, and it's like, this is incredible. That's when it really hits its stride. But those first 3 hours, it's just teaching you things. You know, it's really setup, and not even in an intriguing way until, like I said, you hit that 2.5, 3 hour mark where you're like, something, I won't spoil what happens, and you're like, okay, why did that just happen? That was insane. Not in a mind-blowing way, though, but that's how I felt. As I see, I don't know why. This was just a side complaint. If you are a game developer listening to this, hear me now. Add game clocks always to your games. I'd like to know how long I've been playing, because I couldn't tell you how long I've been in God of War. I could only tell you where I'm at in the story. But I'd say I have, I want to say 20 hours ish. And I'm enjoying it a lot because, like I said, you know, there's certain things, and Karak will know what I'm talking about, that as you progress in the story, the open world changes and gets bigger in its own unique way as more mechanics unveil themselves and things happen in the world. Like I said, I'm keeping this spoiler free, but you know,
hey, that's cool, man.
Yeah, and so it's insane. And also, as someone who, you know, I paid attention to the previews, you know, I read people's thoughts on them generally. I'm going to be honest, though, I did not know this was an open world game. So playing it and seeing how huge it is and then how much bigger it becomes was, it was, if you don't know that, I think it can be a little off-putting, because that's how it felt for me at first. Like, I know God of War for one thing. It was like, you know, level by level, kick the shit out of things, short story, damn, that was awesome, okay, next one. You know, this is like a completely different experience from what God of War is known for. There's RPG mechanics, there's leveling up your equipment, crafting,
nice.
You know, there's an open world, questing. It's like, what? This is God of War? And like I said, you know, it's good. Yeah, exactly. It's good. It's cool. But it's a little jarring at first if you've played previous God of War games and then you just kind of went on media blackout like I did for this game for the most part.
Yeah, I did the same. I didn't read any reviews or any previous. No, I didn't think I even watched. I watched like the initial trailers, but anything leading up to it, I didn't watch. So when I did get to play it, yeah, I was fresh as well. So, yeah, really, I can't wait. It'll probably be tomorrow. I'll start it tomorrow.
Say you waiting for your new TV to start it?
Yeah, well, I need the new TV first.
Do you not have a TV in general?
Oh, no, yeah, I do, but like...
Maddie, your mic, when you moved it now has changed your sound a little bit.
Sound bad?
Now it sounds better, but when you're facing us, it was going away, at least for me.
So it's better?
There you go.
Now it's fine. Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
Bing, bada, boom.
I hit it with my Batman cup, so it must be something with that. It was like fucking chopped it.
It can't handle the Batman chop. I will say there's an intricacy to the levels. I would like to sit down and argue with people that it's open world, because it doesn't feel open world to me. It feels hub, I guess.
That'd be better.
Or open linear. It's very odd because, as Maddie said, some stuff changes to augment what you can do, and yet they all feel like Dark Souls. And I know a lot of people get pissed because this is the Dark Souls of pop. There's always a Dark Souls.
Yeah, there is.
But when it comes to level design, there's a reason why there's comparison, and this is why it always pisses me off when people get mad about it. The reason why it's comparison is because it's well fucking known, and it would be stupid to not bring up a comparison of something that's well known. Dark Souls is well known. It's well done for its level, especially that first game. And in God of War, there was this one particular time where I got some ways to do some other stuff, and you sort of circle back, and my brain, out loud without saying it, was like, Dark Souls. Yeah. Like I knew at that point, then I knew what they were doing. I was like, and we talked about this prior to the podcast starting. You can tell that obviously is generated by 5 years ago when they were starting the game. And they were like, how are we going to build these things? What are we going to do? And that was really popular at the time. It still is, but I'm saying it was huge. It was talked about. There were, there's videos on Dark Souls 1 and its level design. And I can see that reflected. Like they're all, okay, that does work. We like it as developers. so we're going to put it in our game. And I think that's where they did a phenomenal job.
The only place I saw originally Dark Souls, it's funny you say that because it's a perfect way of describing how the open world develops. I thought about it in the combat. I was like, usually in the previous God of War games, it's light attack, heavy attack. You just go in, and like I said, you kill everything, build up the hit meter, and that's really where it stops. This one, you have to study some enemy patterns. Yeah, you can still go in there and kick the shit out of everything, but it demands a level of focus that previous God of War titles haven't. But it's not even just in comparison. Like, I'd say compared to most action-adventure games, it really needs you to pay attention, especially if you're taking on some of the tougher enemies for counterattacks and, like I said, exposing weaknesses, using certain runic attacks or Atreus' bow. I think the game has its best strength is its pacing, because the combat system really does get expansive, and they did a great job with the controller design, which is something I always like to focus on with these types of games, because you can have as good of a combat system as you want if you can't fluidly chain together stuff.
It's awkward.
Exactly. If it's awkward, you're fucked. It's not that good anymore. So they did a good job making it natural feeling. And it's funny that we use the Souls comparison, because R1 and R2 are the attack buttons. And so it's like, and L1's your shield. And it's like, just like Souls. Reminds me exactly of it. Now, from the outside looking in, as someone who hasn't played much of it, Joey, does this make you want to play it more?
Yeah, man. I want to go out and pick it up right now, to be honest with you.
Dude, yeah.
I really want to play it now.
Okay.
For me, I just feel weird jumping into a game, even though I don't need to play the older titles. I just feel weird jumping into it, That's why I'm struggling to play, like, the Elder Scrolls games even. Like, because I want to play Morrowind, and thank God now it's on Xbox. But, I just feel weird of jumping in something,
Yeah.
Me personally.
Yeah. When it comes to jumping into stuff, though, at some point, I think for like God of War and somebody like yourself, if you already like Kratos and you like the way he looks in this game and the stuff he does right at the starting, I think that this would be a really good litmus test to see if you can do this in the future by getting God of War, even borrowing it from a friend, because I don't know if you said if you had a PS4 or not, but getting a chance to experience it, and then from that point using that as your pattern for, okay, now I guess it is okay. Because I used to be exactly where you were, where I would not jump Persona. Because Maddie's always like, Persona's the best game ever. I'm sorry, it's never.
Hell yeah. No, sing it to the heavens. Let's go.
But I'll be honest, 4 was the first one I really jumped into. And people were like, oh, blah, 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 and all this stuff about what you had to do. And I found that once I did that with Persona, every other game, I was like, well, fuck it. If I can do it with Persona, I can do it with anything. I think if it wasn't a reboot, what you're saying makes total sense. But because it is, they do, and I didn't think it was the greatest game ever. So if I'm saying this, I actually mean it. I'm not saying it's like the best thing in the world, but I think they did a really good job by tying it together, hinting at the past stuff, but allowing you to just say, okay, and moving forward and not having an issue with that. And I think that somebody like yourself would not have a problem having not played those past ones at all. I think you would. In fact, in a weird way, you wouldn't have what Maddie had, which is that shock for the first 2 hours where it feels different. And you're like, what the fuck? You may not feel that.
And it's in a different universe as well, so that helps as well.
That does help.
Yeah. So it does seem like a fresh start for them.
I don't know about you guys. I absolutely hate I hate it. I hate the 180-degree turn. Sorry. I don't want to.
On the D-pad?
Dude, they were so worried. There's 3 ways to do it. If you go in and look, you can switch it to 3 different control schemes just to do the 180-degree. Because obviously they were like, but I wanted it to be like 90 maybe, if that makes sense. Because 180, most people don't come straight behind you. They come at an angle. So you'll be fighting a guy, and then you'll switch, and they're here now. And so you switch and then still have to turn. And
I see what you mean.
It didn't feel amazing to me. That really. It sounds like Maddie didn't.
I don't use that mechanic at all. I just turn right thumbstick.
That's giving me some. That's giving me some Ocarina of Time vibes.
Or Horizon
like
Zero
a red
Dawn.
reticle
Or Horizon,
around you, what direction you're getting attacked. So I'll usually dodge roll away, then turn if I feel.
Horizon Zero Dawn was really bad for that though, because the dinosaurs would leap, and you would spend half your day going,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and just following them around. You'd be like, "What the fuck, man? I'm getting really tired of turning at these fuckers." So, yeah, it's not amazing. I'm glad you were able to play it without using it. I mean, it's possible. I guess I don't use it that often, but that's pretty cool. That shows that it's not required.
Yeah, one thing that we mentioned earlier, and I just thought of, and I want to talk about it a little bit, is we noticed a similar DNA in PlayStation exclusives. God of War, Last of Us, what's the other one? Horizon. Lately, those third-person over-the-shoulder. Aside from Horizon, you got like a little companion with you. There's clearly a reason for that, and I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, get your thoughts on it, because I think, the reason they're doing that in I should say recent games, we've noticed both are open world with God of War and Horizon,
right?
But they all have that similar feel to them. And do you think Sony looks at this, they see the success of The Last of Us, for example, and then they just keep carrying over, and then they see the success of Horizon Zero Dawn, which I think was like the best selling new IP.
It was.
And then they carry that over into God of War, probably establish that for the future now as like another best-selling God of War title, I'd imagine. Do you think that's kind of the idea behind it? Just one to the other for familiarity's sake? Because they're all completely different games in many ways in the terms of universe, characters, questing, but they have that similar strand of DNA. We've talked about it with like Bethesda Game Studios games. We got Oblivion, Morrowind, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Skyrim. They all kind of feel the same though in some way.
I feel like they've kind of found their formula and they're just kind of sticking with it. As you guys have said, it does work. The success of these games are like ridiculously huge, and that's probably helped them. The reason why they sold so many units. But yeah, even with titles that are coming up like Days Gone, I felt really bad for Days Gone.
So did I. Funny you mentioned that.
I remember the trailer, and I was like, wait, this isn't Naughty Dog?
Exactly.
And then like even like the way the camera moves and the way you look at items and the way he jumped over the cinematics and stuff, I was like, wait a minute. And then I was like, okay, this looks cool. The Horde thing's different. That's cool. And then like 2 months later, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, here's a trailer for The Last of Us 2. And I was like, oh no, what are they gonna do? So, but yeah, as I said, it does seem like PlayStation have their formula now, and I guess it's working for them.
But you brought up a good example of how it's just worked against them. You right away thought it was a different company doing something new. So I wonder if it'll bite them down the line when people, I guess part of it's the post-apocalyptic overlap here. Yeah. I wonder what's going to happen in Days Gone, because it got delayed out of this year.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they've gone back and changed it. Maybe it was originally more story heavy, like Last of Us. Maybe they have decided to change it, and maybe that's why they've delayed it. I don't really know. It will be interesting to see what they do. I'll probably play it because it does look really good. But then I guess it just depends on how long Naughty Dog takes with Last of Us. So, because you wouldn't want them coming out at the same time.
I hope that's this year, man.
Yeah, man.
I'd love to play The Last of Us this year.
Joey, what do you think then? Do you agree? Do you think that they all are somewhat sort of building off one another, all those games from Sony, or?
Yeah, for sure. But it's just I really hope that we do get The Last of Us like this year. And it sucks that Days Gone did get pushed back. I was looking forward to that. I was thinking maybe this year. I think we heard about this game when 2 years ago.
Yeah,
a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, like since then, man, I've been wanting this game, and it just sucks, that like it had to get pushed back, but yeah, yeah.
Cool. So, that should do it for God of War. Any final thoughts on that before we shift it over? No, that's a resounding, that's a collective no. That's a hard no. So we'll
hard to talk about without feeling like you're spoiling it.
Sorry guys.
Everything in that game's a spoiler, really. So it's a good point. Topic number 3. Bethesda sent out their E3 invites, and we're going to give our thoughts on it. Yeah, we're going to talk about E3 pretty often. I said this last week on the show. Karak, you weren't here. I was like, yeah, we're basically because every week there's like new E3 rumors and new E3 leaks. There's something new to talk about, and it changes the game, the course of the discussion. And as we have new guests on, everyone likes to give their hot take on E3. So, Dom, Joey, whoever would like to go first, E3 hot takes. Let's go.
Woo! Here we go. Sorry, dude. Sorry.
Oh no, you could go, man. It's all you, brother.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely something coming this year. Man, there's just so much to get into. Obviously, with all the there was a tale of a man called Todd Howard. No, just with all the interviews, obviously with Pete saying they've got a healthy number of new games and new projects. Obviously with the Todd Howard podcast. The thing with the podcast that I picked out that stuck with me is he asked the question, if you weren't working on the Elder Scrolls or Fallout, what kind of worlds or games would you like to build? And the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, I don't want to give anything away. So it's like, well, you kind of already have, because that obviously confirmed. And then after that, he says, obviously, we love the worlds of both Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and then we're not going to be leaving them behind. So it obviously means that they, are working on something new. And hope, it looks like it'll be coming out this year, but
hopefully,
don't know. I'd be really surprised if they don't do anything this year. I don't know what I'd do.
I mean,
I'd be like, this YouTube thing was okay.
but
mass unsubscribe.
But I mean, they're definitely coming out with something this year. They have to. I mean, you could look at the Todd Howard podcast. There's a game in full production. You could talk about Pete Hines saying that they've been working on the E3 conference since September 2017. Why would they be working on this for that long especially after last year's E3, how everybody got so angry? I was so pissed off, man. I was so mad. So, like, they're preparing a conference, like, since September of last year. They're coming out with something, you know what I mean? Whether it could be a new IP, Starfield, or it could be, who knows, a Fallout spinoff, or if they knock our socks off, Elder Scrolls 6, highly unlikely, I realize that. But I'm just saying, they're going to come out with something, They're releasing something, especially not after last year, too. They do not, in my opinion, they do not prepare this big of a conference, since September of last year, just for a mobile title and DLC for their current games, for Bethesda's current games. You know what I mean? So they're coming out with something big, and what bigger than either Elder Scrolls, Fallout, or a brand new IP on the order of those games. I just think we're getting something this year. We have to. If we don't, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna go fucking crazy.
They
thought last year people were pissed.
If I had hair, I'd rip it out.
Oh god, dude. Yeah.
Karak, what do you think after some of the recent developments? The marketing push. We'll get into that later, but more recently, I guess what's it called? I guess what really Joey and Dom just went over. I shouldn't even bother repeating it. What was your take on it?
Go for it, man. Go for it.
I am not anywhere near as positive as they are. I am pretty much done with Bethesda. Like, I'm done. What I mean is their hype. Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm out. I'm done with their hype. I'm done with their little rumors, their little like one-liners in Twitter. I'm just done. We're at a point now where everyone is either doing that or they're releasing shit and not doing that. And I would rather have it be that. I would rather have it be solid information so people can get excited. Because I'm going to tell you right now, most of the time, a rumor and the excitement based around that will only lead to destruction. It's not all going to be God of War. You're going to have a lot of shit games where people are like, can't wait. because it's going to be this. I want Starfield. That's the one I want. I want a Firefly/Fallout in space, those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say that kind of stuff is I don't believe any PR rep, because they're pretty open when they're not pushing a game that they're not to be believed. So it's like, you'll even hear them, they'll be pretty open about it. They're like, our job is to get you excited. It's not necessarily to be at the end point and sell you the title. So it's like, just because they say they've been working for 2 years, that is unique to say. But I'm so tired of saying, this is unique to say, it must be this. And it's not. And Bethesda burned the fuck out of us last year. Like, last year, I remember getting done and going,
my God.
You and Maddie and those motherfuckers, Maddie and Lone are the ones who got me excited. Because I was like, I don't get into hype because I don't. And then Maddie and Lone are like, let's talk about Bethesda for fucking 40 hours. And then I'm like,
hell yeah, man.
Oh yeah, okay. And I was
contagious. Everyone likes to sit on the pedestal and go, but like once it happens the week of, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, dude, that thing got over. That thing got over, and I was like, I'm gonna find Lone, and I'm gonna find Maddie, I'm gonna choke him to death because I was like, what? That's hilarious. I'm just saying that I removed all hype. If they do announce something, that's gonna be really cool because I've loved their games since Daggerfall was my first of their games. I still think it's one of my favorite games of all time. So I adore their stuff, but man, I know you and I have a huge disconnect on our like of the Twitter teasing of fans.
Yeah.
It could just be because I see it from so many, but I'm done. And I get to the point where I'm like, I just don't want to hear you hint or get people's hopes up. I would like to have it a little bit more grounded, I think.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Just a little bit more like, hey, this is what's happening.
Like when what you were talking about a couple of weeks ago when the interview for Pete Hines dropped and he was like, I don't remember what I said, and you were just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
dude,
I was mad. When that popped up, because I was in the Discord and I'm like, the fucker just said he doesn't even remember. Like, but does he? Obviously he does, unless he's got Alzheimer's, right? We all remember what we say 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for Starfield. You know me, I was a big Fallout 4 fan, even though not the greatest game in the world. Fallout VR is fantastic, though. I would love, Bethesda's been a big supporter of VR, so I'm also interested if they said, hey, from the ground up, Starfield is VR. You can bet I will buy 7 copies just so I can fucking stand on them while I'm playing. So I just toned down this last year. Yeah. And it was just like, I don't blame you.
I'm sure people will just look at me and naturally assume. They're like, oh, he's so excited. What people don't ever understand is there is like a separation for me. There is, or rather, different types of excitement. So my excitement comes from not, Starfield is going to be amazing, guys. It's going to be the best game ever. It could suck ass. And that's the truth. After Fallout 4, I liked Fallout 4 a lot. I enjoyed it. But even going back to it on a near weekly basis for videos and stuff, thank God for Oblivion, by the way. It's been a nice break for Fallout 4.
Nice.
It's definitely shines some light. Like, okay, and I'm not going to retread the whole ground of Fallout 4. People get the point. Okay, but it's more so like, all right, Bethesda Game Studios have their back against the wall. There are people who still make video essays about Fallout 4 to this day. Like and I'm not saying that in a bad way.
I see them. I see them.
Everyone, and I think everyone's entitled to do that. It's more so Bethesda Game Studios should know now. Like, okay, what we did, fans did not like. Especially if I can't think of any other game that almost 3 years down the line, people are still talking about what they did wrong. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a great thing because Bethesda Game Studios needs to be reminded. So that my excitement comes from, all right, they know what not to do. What do they do next? Do they take another liberty with the Fallout series? Because that's what they've really done when you think about it. Look at Fallout 1 and 2. Bethesda gets their hands on it with 3. First-person open world RPG. It's like, okay.
It was like God of War.
Yeah.
Where it changed a ton of stuff.
And then Fallout 4 happens, they take another liberty. They're like, yeah, same thing. You know about Fallout from us nowadays, first-person open world. But now we got a voice protagonist and settlement system.
Yeah.
And it's
here we go.
I'm saying, like, these are big liberties they take with the series to try and move it forward. They didn't make as big of a progression with the series as they did with 2 to 3. So I wonder with 4 to 5 or whatever, if they're doing another Fallout game, is that where they go with it? Are they going to say, like, you know what, let's put Fallout on the shelf for a little bit?
Well, Maddie,
that's where
also,
my excitement builds from.
My question for you though is didn't Fallout 4 sell better than any other
Yeah,
game?
100% did, and that's why
Here's
I'm
the
like, they might not.
Yeah. Exactly,
They're
because
not
like what
gonna-
we're talking about versus what when they look at their spreadsheet, it doesn't say Maddie sent us $60. Like no matter how much money we hold, that's why when you get people who say like I didn't buy it because I'm gonna fight this company, it's like they don't give a fuck. They have when you buy something, money isn't shipped with your name on it. So you and I, like, we're excited for what they might do with Fallout and stuff, but with Fallout 4 selling as well as it did. And I saw some people shaking their head with voice protagonists. I sort of was okay with it. I know other people weren't. Obviously, I can tell. But it just seems to me like there's a really good chance they will do that. I mean, if it sold that well, because it did spectacularly well compared to the other two, which did well on their own, right?
Yeah.
Because didn't 3 do... 3 in
sold
New
well.
Vegas... Well, New Vegas was sitting, but yeah. It's just... Also... We're ignoring, of course, the other games that they own. I mean, Dishonored, even though that one's not necessarily.
I don't think we see a new Dishonored. Just cause
Well, I'm saying the other IPs they do have. What else do they got? I mean, it doesn't have to be like.
It's gonna. I think it'll be Doom. I think a new Doom will be coming. We'll see something from it.
All over a new Doom. That'd be so great.
I think the guarantees, you never want to guarantee a BGS game. You really never know with them.
Right.
Because the way, I think it's the way Bethesda recognizes themselves as a company, they know that like all their games can perform well financially and get gamers' attentions, but they know their big dog is BGS. So they have like a marketing thing where with Prey, let's look at Prey. We know a new expansion's being announced at E3. We know it. They literally posted pictures with the E3 date circled, and they've been posting things of Prey. You're never going to see that with BGS, and that's because they know that that's going to do its own thing and pretty much market itself. And I think that kind of brings in what Karak's issue was like, why isn't it as grounded? I think it's because their approach to every game and IP they have is completely different.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
true.
yeah, definitely.
I remember Fallout 4, they gave 2 weeks for a lot of reviewers. But then, they gave some people a weekend. But then we'll look at The Evil Within. They gave us... How long did we get for that, Karak? Like, what, a day and 2 days?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Evil Within 2? Yeah. Evil Within 2 was much shorter. That was a grind. Yeah.
And Dishonored, they gave us a day. That game was 6 hours, so actually, believe it or not, a day was perfectly fine. But that's what I'm saying. The way they did things was... It's really different. And that's why they're such a hard company to nail down. I think. Yeah. Because you look at Activision, Ubisoft, like these leaks pop up and it's like, oh, fuck, it's confirmed. All right, sick.
Yeah,
like, we know what to look forward to now.
Yeah.
Bethesda, never happens. It's the weirdest shit. It's the weirdest shit. And I think that's
Remember when no one knew there was going to be the mobile Fallout? And it's like, we've got blah, blah, blah. And people were all, what the fuck? And it turned out good from what I understand. I didn't get a chance to play it. But,
really? You never played Fallout Shelter?
I didn't. And I know that at least from what I hear from people that it's actually quite fun. But.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah, definitely. They kind of did it right that year, especially with Fallout Shelter and being able to download it straight away.
Yeah.
It was like, it was like, oh, by the way, you can play this tonight after this, and it was like, wait, what? So, following on that trend, I guess I've got a feeling we'll probably see something from id Software because they've announced pretty much most of their published titles so far. But I think another reason why I feel like it's going to be, might be this year, could be this year, hope it is I feel like it might be similar to 2015's conference. If we do hear something from id Software, and then we are hearing something about a mobile title, and then hopefully their AAA title from BGS.
I'm not 100% on a mobile game is because with Fallout Shelter, it works so well because you have the Fallout brand was known. People were just excited for Fallout. We know what Fallout is. And the hype was built up so much, people needed something to get their hands on now, and Bethesda made billions of dollars because of that. With a Starfield, let's say hypothetically that's what it is, or and if it's Fallout again, then even more so. Will a mobile launch night of, will that be as beneficial? Like, I don't think it'll be as explosive as maybe we imagine. Like, I don't think it's a shoe-in. Like, I think they will do a mobile game, but
It could though, Maddie. What if they did like a Starfield, like something that interjected you into the fiction for the first time?
Oh, okay.
I would be all over that if they were like, here's your
Prepare
Starfield, it's coming at this point, but here's your mobile game that I don't know how they would do this, by the way. I'm just guessing.
It's just
but
does
it
that
would
give
be
away too
awesome.
much? Do you leave the consumer
that's
too
true.
much room to decide whether or not they even give a fuck about the game at that point?
Yeah.
Where Fallout, you know what you're getting, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a different type of Fallout you're getting. Where Starfield, you'll see it for the first time, know what it is for the first time, and then you get a different Starfield for a first time. I think it can.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. You're starting to get me excited for Starfield, and if I fucking get excited, I'll kill you.
I talk about Starfield. I do not guarantee it. That's
but you just mention it makes
Todd
me go.
Needs your money. Todd needs your money.
I'm like Firefly and a Fallout fucking like the look and blah blah blah. And I'm like,
think of all the new playable races you could play.
Yes.
We're going to the Reddit league.
Oh God, no, not the Reddit league. I got so much stick for that video. Oh man, so funny.
Well, how'd you market the video? Did you say like it was confirmed? Because I was just like, this is a Reddit leak. Like,
I don't know. I have to check on that. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, because that's a big thing. I don't think people care if you talk about it. It's if you tell them like, "Oh, this is real." It's like, well,
oh yeah. Say from the get-go straight away that it's all speculation and stuff.
There you go.
And you got the procedural generation stuff seems a bit odd. That was people's main complaint, I think.
Yeah.
And the limited weapons bit, that was weird. That was really weird.
Borderlands. Way too much.
Yeah. And then I actually tried to contact the guy, just got nothing.
Yeah, a lot of people have reached out to him, I've noticed, and like I think Juice had reached out to him too, and I don't think he got anything, or he got like the same thing that the post got.
No way.
I'm pretty sure that's what I read or heard what he said in the video.
Yeah.
But yeah, E3 for Bethesda, it can be fun. It can be fun. It can also, with all these expectations, it can be awful. It can be a bust this year.
Yeah.
Well, Matty, you're going to be there.
Yes, I am.
I'm seriously jealous.
Did you decide to go, Matty?
Yes.
Because it's very close to you, isn't it? Not that, or is it?
Oh.
Wait a minute. No. It's not close to you. It's Los Angeles, right?
Yeah. So it'll be a nice plane flight there. But I'm so hyped. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
But on the other side of the Bethesda coin, separate topic, is their marketing push. So while we're talking about all these new things that Bethesda Game Studios might be doing, there is a little more supporting evidence that surfaced this week that BGS is in fact working on something. The reason for that is because we know about the tweet they posted. They say, "Oh, we can't wait to show you what we're working on." That could be generally speaking at some point in time they'll show us, or it could mean this coming E3. And so then we see the Dark Warehouse quote this tweet. They say, "We can't wait to work with Bethesda and show you guys what we've been working on these past coming months." I look into them a little bit more, and then boom, we see that this is the company that's created like Stone Slap art, furniture for only BGS titles. And you look at the marketing push for Fallout 4, pop figures, minis. I have a mini fridge for Nuka-Cola in the corner of my room.
No way.
Love
Nice.
it. It's sick. I'm saying, like, they did everything for Fallout, so there's a marketing push coming when they drop whatever they're working on next. So I imagine that this company is already in collaboration with Bethesda on something. And I feel that supports a little bit more evidence, at least, that something will be coming this year. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that, fellas. Whoever would like to go first. Karak, I know you're fired up, man. You're fired up. Let's hear your hot take, steamy hot.
Oh, God.
I didn't know anything about whatever this company was until I saw your stuff about it. So I do believe that that's actually, and I'd forgotten until you just mentioned it today. So I actually do believe that that's probably more of an indicator, because it's not them, right? It's a third. How many times have like Microsoft, because of a patent, had some of their shit ruined, like the leaked? It's like, hey, blah blah blah, and you're like, connect. So I think you're right. I think that does actually lend a lot more credence to something coming out. I'd forgotten about that. You checked into them, and they had done like past stuff for video games or past stuff for Fallout, Maddie?
For Skyrim and Fallout 4.
Yeah, BGS.
Skyrim and Fallout, both. Yeah. I mean, Yeah, it would be. I mean, boy, I'll tell you what though, Bethesda's would probably be. Well, would they be pissed? I wonder. Like, I'm trying to think of another company.
I feel like
sort
because
of
the way they
popped
worded
them
it, you could tell they were kind of careful to say like,
Oh, gotcha.
not
Okay.
something is
Yeah,
coming, but
yeah,
we're
yeah.
just excited to work with Bethesda. You can
Okay.
generally take that at face
In the
value,
coming
but you
months,
can
yeah.
also see the meaning behind it, as in like, all right, why are you excited to work on them if something's not coming? Or you
Right.
at least wonder that. So I
That's
don't
cool.
think Bethesda would be too
It's
pissed.
it's the way they word it as well. Like they say in the coming months, and it's like, well, what's in the coming months? Oh, yeah, E3.
Yeah,
Oh, so
exactly.
why?
Yeah.
And then Bethesda are like, oh, by the way, we're revamping our store.
Yeah, I
And
forgot
the
about that.
Yeah.
I think the only time I remember that a big revamp happened was obviously when Fallout 4 came out.
Well, sure.
So yeah, it's
Yeah, I
looking
mean,
good.
one thing a viewer did point out to me, to be fair, is that apparently the store, would it be site owner or something like that? They also own
Okay.
BioWare store, and a viewer made me aware that like, okay, they're doing that over on BioWare's site. So this is like a company wide thing. I don't know if it actually connects. I think the timing is definitely fishy though. But,
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
but it might not lend as much credence as the original post from the Dark Warehouse.
Yeah, that's definitely well, yeah, that's more solid. Yeah, definitely.
But I wouldn't even say this company, like, we wondered, like, oh, will they get mad at the Dark Warehouse? I personally don't think so, just because, you know, you look at Pete Hines and what he said during an interview. He's like, yeah, we got new projects. We got new games. There's a big mix. There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
He created the excitement. Before that, I'd say things are relatively quiet for, like, Bethesda fan standards. We were just, like, chilling. All right, E3 could be fun this year. Could be Bethesda Game Studios. But now we're really seeing, like, all right, they're hyping it up a little bit. Not does that mean it's going to be good? No. In fact, it could actually very much mean the opposite. Because they've never really done that when you look at their past, like, they've never hyped up their own E3 conference. So I'm very curious to see what they bring out. But regardless, you know, the hype came from them first before any of the third parties said anything.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Plus,
I think that's another thing that why it is exciting is it is coming from their mouth, well, fingers, mouth, whatever. But yeah, it's like, because obviously we make videos coming from, oh, maybe they said this, or we can interpret this as this. But for them to like tweet out and be like, oh, we're looking forward to showing you what we've been working on. And it's like, well, why would you mention that? You've never mentioned that before. You like Fallout 4, you heard absolutely nothing until Please Stand By. And obviously last year we got absolutely nothing. If I just feel like they're more talkative in kind of this time around. But yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, honestly, I don't know if it matters much, but the reason why
matters.
they're
Come on,
Yeah.
you're fucking here.
reason why I feel they're talking about so much right now is because of how hot Fallout 4 got then. You know what I mean? And like now they're trying to hype up like whatever they're doing right now, if that makes any sense.
No.
And I know after last year, it's like we got kicked right in the nuts. You know what I mean? Last year,
30
and
minutes.
like
what the hell
and
is
it
this?
sucks. But like, if they do not release anything, if BGS, if we don't even see a Fallout spinoff or something, which I think we could, being that what we said earlier, that Fallout 4 made so much damn money. You know what I mean? In the first day it was released, you know. But I just if we're gonna, I don't know, man. I think we're gonna get something. They're sitting on a cash cow. You know what I mean? They're gonna make so much money, no matter what it is, whether it's Fallout, whether it's Starfield, which obviously everybody freaking wants. You know, if
Would
they
you guys
don't
be against
release
the new Fallout? With that being said, would you be against the new Fallout?
Oh, hell no.
I'd be against that Fallout. Hell no.
Oh, okay. No, I was just making sure because you said what everybody wants. I was like, oh, hold on. Like, what would everyone?
Yeah.
I would
no.
my new Fallout.
Believe me, I would love a new Fallout right now. You know, like I would love my favorite franchise, honestly. But yeah, no. I mean, they're gonna make a ton of money off of whatever they come out with, and it would be stupid if they hype this up with their tweets and from their interviews for no reason, just for DLC. That would be absolutely dumb, and quite frankly, it would piss a lot of people off.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're that stupid, because in a way, isn't that bad business too?
Yeah.
You know, it's very misleading as well. You know, that's what I think. I don't know. What do you guys think on that? You agree? You disagree?
Oh, sorry, I just thought of something funny. Imagine after all this time, and then Pete walks out on stage, and everyone's like, yeah, yeah. And then it's like, ladies and gentlemen, Todd Howard, and Todd walks out, and everyone's like, yeah, here we go, here we go. Oh, let's talk about Creation Club.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big possibility they talk about Creation Club.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would throw up.
Well, if they do talk about it, I hope it's like some good quest mods and stuff, because as a non-PC guy, I see all these amazing quest mods, and I'm like, oh, I want to play those, and it's like, well, you can't. And then, yeah.
It'd be nice if they bumped up Creation Club a notch. I don't, as I've seen updated videos on it and people studying it, and just with some of the constraints to the system itself, I don't see it possible. I don't see it happening. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong, but from what I've researched personally, it's a type of file. I forgot the exact name because I'm not super experienced in modding. So I'm sure someone out there more experienced will be able to put
ESM,
actual
ESL.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, there we go. That's what I was looking for. And so that's like a big issue with it. Whether or not Bethesda's figured that out, because they figured out how to get mods on PlayStation to some extent. We'll see if they can fix that up. But I wouldn't say that I'd be surprised if I saw another Creation Club trailer, to be honest.
Oh no, yeah, definitely not. No.
I really
throw up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be, just because I feel like they've been quiet on it for so long that it's a chance to re-reveal it as something different and make it into a better image and shake off the stigma. Not that I want
That's
it
true.
that bad, but I just feel like they could do it.
Yeah. That's definitely. Yeah,
It's very true there.
Well, that'll close up the Bethesda discussion, and now we shift our attention towards game demos.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yes, indeed. So, the return to game demos. These past couple of weeks, we've seen some game demos. We've seen Yakuza 6 get one, and just recently, this past week, released in the same time frame as a bunch of the press previews, was Detroit Become Human. And so I wanted to talk about today in our final topic, our favorite demos, what demos do for the industry, just demos in general. So whoever would like to fire away first, what's a favorite demo of yours? What's a demo that's gotten you to pick up a game? What's an ideal demo experience? Love to hear it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Do you want to go?
Who, me? I'll go.
Go for it, man.
So when I was a kid, my dad used to bring home these magazines with like demos in them of like the CDs for. I used to have a PlayStation, and I would. I would always pop in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 demo, and I would play that just the demo. Like I didn't have the actual game, and like that demo just constantly play, and like I just feel like now people like they can't experience that, which is unfortunate. It sucks, but like as a kid with that, that's my experience with. Small experience with demos, just like getting those gaming magazines and seeing, the CD or whatever the heck it is, the DVD and popping it in and playing it, play Tekken, wrestling games. It's just like it brings back so many great memories. And like right now, I mean, you could download like trials on your Xbox or I think PlayStation, right? Like download trials and stuff to try out games. But like, I just feel demos are just they're not really there anymore, especially for kids now, and that kind of stinks, I think. That's it.
Yeah, my favorite demo, man. Oh, it has to be Demo frickin' 1 for PlayStation 1. so good. I have so many fond memories of playing that. And it actually had one of my favorite games, and still is probably one of my favorite games, Abe's Odyssey, on there. Oh man, so many memories. But yeah, it had like Abe's Odyssey, Hercules, Tekken. It was it was really good. So many fun memories. Yeah, I wish they would do stuff like that. I guess you do get trials and stuff, but they're mostly for like independent games, like nowadays, or as you said, like online betas and stuff like that. I feel like it would help single player games a lot more. Figure out the kinks, what people like, what people don't like, what people you think they should change. But nowadays it's just kind of like, well, we've made the game, pay for it. If you don't like it, well, you've already paid for it. And it's like I don't know if you can really rent games anymore.
Cannot.
No.
Wait.
I don't know.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I mean, on Redbox, right?
Yeah, GameFly. There's like 100 websites. There's Redbox, Bluebox.
I'm sorry. I'm
Game
the
Pass.
traditional drive to the store.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like, is there a Blockbuster nearby? There's 3 in all of America. Yeah, not many.
No way. You still have Blockbusters?
No, we don't.
No.
Alaska's got the remaining 3.
Oh, no way.
Alaska.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
There's a like an article you can read where this one person traveled to each one just to see. They were like,
that would be
I was
pretty
gonna
cool.
say,
Actually.
I thought of that immediately. Like, wow, I kind of want to go.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let's take a trip.
Nostalgia. But I feel like it would help single player games a lot more. But then, do they really listen? Because you do have these betas and stuff. I don't know, take the first Battlefront. There's a ton of complaints about Battlefront. Well, not the first Battlefront, but I mean like the remakes. There's a ton of complaints, but they didn't really change anything, and then they were just like, okay, well, it's out a week later, so this is the game you got. So
it feels like it's less of a demo or a beta, and more just like a marketing piece to play. I think that comes with like the change of how information spreads. Nowadays, we have the Twitter, we have social media in general, that information's just out like a wildfire if something's good or bad. Where maybe a demo could be beneficial. That's the thing. It goes against itself right away. You play a good demo, you talk about it.
Yeah.
But then again, I just think like back then we look at how there wasn't social media, and so you have these magazines, which are your primary source of output to your target audience, which is gamers, and then you put a demo on the disc, getting to that target audience, and that's how your game might spread a little bit more. There was still the internet, but that's
not as we really know it.
Yeah, not as what we knew it. And I don't think gaming was as big as it is now. For me, my favorite demo, I think of 2. First one that always comes to mind though is, I think it was Demo Disc 3 for the original Xbox.
Oh, no way.
And it came with Dead or Alive 3. And I'd never been like a big fighting game fan, but I just remember thinking like that game was so satisfying, and because I think each time you started it up, it would randomize the characters you had unlocked. I almost had like a full game in a way. And I just kept like rebooting it and replaying it over and over and over.
Oh, no way.
It's what made me enjoy the Dead or Alive franchise. And I remember picking up, I think, Dead or Alive 5 a year and a half ago. And that was a good one. That was a really fun time. So it's funny how it kind of comes full circle there. The other one I think it was the first Max Payne game on the PS2. I don't remember which demo disc that was. But yeah, that one...
Nice.
I remember specifically because I played the demo over and over and over and over. And then one day I finally got the game. And like once I got past the demo level, which was level 2, because you start off in like your apartment and then you go to the train station and then there's a level after that, and I think like the subway or something like that. And I was like, whoa, the game like goes on after this. It was such a stupid thought, but I was like, whoa, okay, like I'm about this. Yeah, I just, those are 2 of my fondest demo memories. And I told one in my video that I uploaded today on Friday, which is about Kingdoms of Amalur. That one's the most recent one, and that game's always sat with me well, partially because I remember playing the demo late at night after school one day and loving the game, and I went after school the following day, picked it up, came home, played it all day, and I love Kingdoms of Amalur. I know Karak loves Kingdoms.
Shut up, man. As much as I like, what is it, Hardline?
Yeah.
Battlefield Hardline.
Yeah.
To me, demos. There's 2 things I actually want to. So there's demos and then there's early access, and I don't like the early access at all. So to me, the demo is usually done for a game that's done. So it's like you have to really explain to the audience, this is a demo. It's not a fucking, any feedback you give isn't going to matter, because they were bringing up earlier that you know, like, is there an idea that, oh, I play this and then I complain and nothing changes? You would have to really make sure that people understand, you know, what exactly is occurring, because I think really the lines have gotten blurry. It's gotten very blurry. It's like early access on Steam is ridiculous now. Every game is early access. I mean, we were talking about on the other podcast where I was looking for a single game, and in 50, there was 0 that weren't early access. So there's that, and then there's demos, and then there's also, what do you want your demo to do? Like, I mean, I wish Sony offered refunds online as well as Microsoft did. I wish Microsoft allowed them like Steam, because Steam allows you for 2 hours. I think most of the time people just buy stuff on Steam and then hit refund, because you get the refund almost all the time. I wish refunds were easier to get, because then I think the demos would probably not be as important. When it comes to companies doing a demo, the problem is also development time. Whenever you hear like a Cliff Basinski or a American McGee talked about this, but there's a couple people who talked about demos, and they're like, dude, they take a shit ton of time because you have to lock out your content, unlike Yakuza, which just had their demo release and the entire game was on it, and people learned how to unlock it.
Wait,
that's
really? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yakuza almost 3 weeks ago. There was basically they released the demo, and it's a new demo now. They had to delete it and re-upload it. Somebody figured out it's all there. They just had to do one little thing, and they were able to play it.
No way.
Damn.
I think that's also the thing, is like, how much time do you have? Like, do you want to spend it on that?
Mm-hmm.
It's an odd situation. Then also, do demos really reflect? I'm not a big fan of quick looks. And Maddie and I've talked about this hundreds of times. Because I think a quick look is like a front-loaded 1 hour. You have no clue what the entire game's like. In fact, God of War, if Maddie only played his first hour versus his 8th, it'd be a different discussion, you know, because he would think a completely different thing. And so I don't know if demos are really, they're useful, but I think they're more useful only because we don't get refunds easily. Look at Sony, man. Try to get a refund. Try to get a fucking refund from Sony, and be prepared to have your account banned.
No
like
way.
They are,
Jeez.
they're crazy. Like they'll be all, you can have one game returned, and if you try to do it again, you can't.
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. So weird. I would rather have the demos be a little bit less, let the dev teams do what they're doing, and instead demand from Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo a 2 hour like Steam like refund, and just say, okay, unless it's some small game, you got your 2 hours, and you can refund it if you play less than 2 hours, or or own it for, I think it's 2 weeks. I would much rather have that, because I think one's a bigger deal. The refunds just aren't happening right now, and I find that odd. Why is it that I buy a game and I can't, like,
if you can't like it,
if you, and digitally,
or if it's broken,
yeah, or if it's broken, or if it's No Man's Sky and it's nothing like what they said it was.
God.
Jesus.
When you buy it, you're like, what?
No.
So it's an odd situation we're in.
I can't go there.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea nowadays of how it's, I guess you'd say, the full game. Bethesda's done it with Prey, and I think with Dishonored.
Give them a time limit.
Yeah, you give them a time limit. Kingdoms of Amalur, actually, it's funny I brought that up, because they did a similar thing where you had a set demo, which was just a tutorial area, and after you beat the tutorial, I think they gave you 15 minutes to do whatever you want in the open world, and you could buy it from there afterwards. Cool. But, it was kind of like a quickly do whatever you can, see what it's about. And so what I liked about that was because you could, we talked about what Karak said, and we've seen so many games do it. You front load, you put all your good shit right in the beginning. But when it's an open world game and you let them loose in the first 15 minutes, you can have a bad experience, you can have a good one.
True.
You can just do what I did, which is, I'm going to play this how I normally would and see how it goes. And I ended up really enjoying it and picking up the full game. Yeah. I think of if a BGS game did that, we think of the dungeon sequence in the beginning, and they let you free and go, all right, 15 minutes, go wild. It's like, okay, this could be good, or this could be like in another experience where you go the wrong way, you go into a high-leveled area, you rubber banding, you get killed.
Yeah, right.
So,
there's dialogue you want to read and listen to, and it's like just cuts out.
Because actually, you know what? It's funny. I remember with Skyrim, before it came out, I'd spend my graphic arts classes reading up articles on Skyrim and previews. And that's real productive use of my time. I'm more mature now, I swear. But,
whatever.
It panned out. Man.
Yeah, but I remember just reading up on the game endlessly because I was so excited. And I remember a lot of the demo previews were saying, like, yeah, Bethesda, had us beat the tutorial, and they gave us 2 hours and said go wherever you want. And I thought that was interesting. Or was it an hour? I think 45 minutes. They gave them like a set amount of time to just go out and do anything. And so everyone came away with different experiences. And I think, that was an interesting way on how, while that's a press demo, it's still an interesting way on how demos have developed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
for sure.
When it comes to some games, I assume they probably would have to look at like how buggy the game is too, like, or not buggy, but like I love Bethesda, but their game.
Yeah, wasn't there a thing when people were testing it out and the chicken was going to the guards, telling the guards on you or something, and you were getting arrested?
Well, I don't know if you
like that.
know this. GTA 5, when it first came out, that's how they told on you when you were out in the woods, is the animals could call 911. Yeah, so the AI would be like, oh, I saw this guy murder, and I can inform, and I guess somebody figured it out. Some, like, a YouTuber was like, oh, something's up here. This, I'm assuming a YouTuber, I have no clue who it was, but somebody figured out that it's the fucking computer. It's like the animal calling 911. But and they had to patch that out. But yeah, I think the chicken did do something. There was a couple things when I first got Skyrim too. I was doing 7,000 steps, 10,000 steps?
Oh yeah, 7,000. Yeah.
And probably my favorite part of Skyrim. And I was running up that, and I'm with friends. We're all here. We're faking co-op because there isn't co-op in that game, but we all had our computers at my house. There's like 10 of us. We're like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Oh yeah,
and
we did that. Yeah.
I just literally continued running off the side of the mountain, and we were like, clipping with all. And I was like, what the fuck? And I couldn't stop him from running. And I was like, I wonder if in a 2-hour demo, if that would be a sales point. It may be. Somebody may be like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, right.
Like, that might be more fun. Sometimes a goofy, weird thing in a game can actually cause me to like it too. I don't know about you guys, but there'll be some bug or some stupid thing, and I'll be all, that's actually sort of cool.
I call it the Bethesda moments.
Yeah, right.
You're just like, from the rad scorpions, like, go running upside down. And I think my
catch dragons and they flew backwards.
Yeah. I had one that just flew in place and I couldn't hit it, and it was just like, and then it just flew off. And then obviously you have the first time you go up against a giant in Skyrim and you just go flying. You're just like, oh, okay. Okay, that's the thing.
Amazing bug, though. Just going skydiving with the giants.
Yeah, right. The old Bethesda moments.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see it all again with Starfield, hopefully.
Instead of the dragons, it's the spaceships flying.
Right.
You're trying to land on a planet and it just keeps flying away. And you're like, well, that's the game.
Fucking back, you bitch. Like.
Yeah. Oh, for God's sake.
But that's our last topic for this show. Thank you, Dom. Thank you, Joey, for joining us on this wonderful show. It's been a blast.
Right.
If there's any plugs any of y'all would like to do before we close this up, fire away.
I guess check my YouTube channel out. Just Dom Show. As I said, Bethesda content. Do vocal covers of Fallout songs and Starfield speculation. So yeah, just Dom Show.
Cool.
Yeah.
Joey.
Yeah, and for me, Play It Forward Official, please subscribe. That would mean a lot. I do, like I said earlier, Bethesda style content, speculation, so that's what I cover. Very passionate about it. I don't know if you guys can sense that, but I'm super passionate about Bethesda games, especially Fallout. And so if you guys can check me out, that'll be much appreciated.
100%.
Thank you.
All right. Those links will be in the description down below. Thank you again for joining us, Karak. It was a blast as always.
Yes, indeed.
And we will catch you guys in episode 155 next week. Peace out.
Thank you.